Okay, so I've never told my whole story in a couple minutes, but I'll try to hit the highlights. Or the low light? Yeah, or that. um, when I lived with them in high school, I had a lot of plans. I was going to go to college and open my own karate school, and I knew I always wanted to be a teacher. I just wasn't sure what I wanted to teach. So, yeah, we'll get to that. So, of course, I didn't do anything, the normal way. So, tried college. It didn't work out. I left, ended up tearing my MCL in my knee and got her my first prescription of pain medicine. And I didn't really get addicted to it right away. I just liked the way it made me feel. And it didn't really cause me any problems, so I continued to do it recreationally for a while, amongst other drugs. And, sometimes I needed it, sometimes I wanted it, and sometimes I didn't have to have it. And so I always thought I could stop when I wanted to. And I had the idea that, one day I'd grow out of it, I'd get pregnant one day, have a family, and, the joy of holding my child for the first time would be enough for me to stop. And I believed with everything inside of me that being pregnant or having a child would make me be able to put it down. And I continued to use pregnant. I've ended up pregnant while I was homeless in New Orleans for a couple months, doing basically exactly what he was just talking about. And so I knew, okay, well, I have to get my life together now. But by then I was really strung out, and I didn't really have anyone in the world to call because everyone was tired of me stealing from them and lying to them, and basically just watching me ruin my life. So basically everyone told me I should probably have an abortion or give my daughter up for adoption. I didn't know she would be a daughter yet at that point. And something in my soul knew that I couldn't do that. And I knew that if I didn't get it together then, I never would. And so I imagined that before she was born, I'd be able to stop. Well, when I was about 7 months pregnant, I overdosed, had 4 seizures, and went into a coma. And I had my daughter while I was on a ventilator in ICU. I woke up from a coma when she was 3 days old. And she stayed in the hospital for about 5 weeks. And I went to treatment for the 7th and the last time when she was about 6 weeks old. And I'll be sober 2 years next month. I now work at the place that I went to treatment at called the Hope Center in Marksville, Louisiana. I'm going to tell a little bit about what we do differently there that ended up working for me compared to the other 6 times I went to treatment. So in 1939, these 100 men got together and wrote what they call the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. The people that took the steps, about 50% of those people that took the steps got sober and remained that way. An additional 25% out of the 50% that's left relapsed a few times and then eventually got sober. And the 25% remaining that stayed in AA showed improvement through the years. So people were using AA. It was, something you could choose to go to if you wanted to. Sometimes court would order you to it. But then in 1956, the American Medical Association declared alcoholism and drug addiction as a disease. In that same year, the recovery rate dropped from 75% to 6%. So they started treating it as an illness and doing group therapy, some type of counseling, and then sending people right back into where they came from before treatment, and it was rarely working. So what's cool about the place that I work at is about 30 years ago, some people, Miss Jo Hamilton and some other people went to Arkansas and developed what's called recovery dynamics. And what they did is they took the 12 steps of AA that's in the big book that was so successful and integrated into a treatment plan that could be given to someone over a 28-day period. And then, of course, we recommend things like sober living, a halfway house, or a three-quarter house upon getting out. And that's what I did when I got out. I went for 7 months, and it worked for me, and I've watched it work for a bunch of people that come through there. So I think that's about all I have.
I'm not done with you yet. Okay. There are just a couple of pieces of the story that I think are really, really, really important. One thing that, if you can't imagine the heartbreak of a mother hearing something like this, but actually more of a heartbreak was that I didn't know what was going on when it happened. She told me that she was homeless and hooked on heroin in New Orleans, and she was having seizures. And when you're homeless and hooked on heroin in New Orleans and you're having seizures, the other homeless heroin addicts ask if you will please stop coming around because they're afraid it's going to attract attention that they really don't want. And when we said earlier that now she's found what she wants to teach, she does work at the Hope Center, and she invited me to come watch her teach last October, which was one of my proudest moments. And I saw her changing lives, and I saw the people coming up to her after and saying, you know, I've heard a lot of stuff, and I've listened to a lot of people, but that makes sense. They trust her because she's been there, unlike the PhDs and some of the other people who are trying to help these people. So she's found what she came to teach. In fact, she's so brave and she's so friggin' smart and insightful. She's actually said to me that she kind of sees why it had to happen. Because she couldn't be doing this and saving all of these people if she hadn't lived it. But the really most important piece, and then I'll let you go, darling, is I was in the Hope Center where she works, and there was a wall of people. There were about 150, 200 people on it. And I said, who are those? And she goes, oh, those are the people that have left and died in the last year or two. And I thought it was going to be like, you know, the nice stories. It was the people that had left and died. And guys, they all look like you and I. They are just normal people, moms, dads, brothers, cousins. And it kind of shocked me. And I said, well, Savannah, she had told me a story about how she got the prescription drugs, got hooked, tried to go to all the doctors and get all the prescriptions. Pretty soon that doesn't work anymore. So then you have to get them on the black market, and that's quickly an $80 a day habit. Pretty soon you can't afford that, and the same person that was getting you those on the black market says, that's okay, heroin's just a $40 a day habit, and it does the same thing, I can get you that. And that's how she became a heroin addict, and I'm watching all those people on the wall who have died, and I said, Savannah, so of those people on the wall who've come through here and left and died, what percentage of them got started the way you did? They just had an injury. And I was thinking that she might say 50, and that might behind kind of blow my mind. Tell them what you said.
95%.
95%.
If I can say one more thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think that I actually know anyone that didn't start that way. I can't say 100%, but personally, and I know a lot of those people, and pretty much everyone I've known in the last 15 years. And I don't know one single person that started heroin before they got on prescription pain pills. Wow. So
that doesn't blow your mind. I don't know what does. One of the bravest people I know. Thank you.